An amphora, and that's a vessel or container used to transport olive oil or wine or fish, was found filled with hundreds of Roman gold coins. The amphora discovered during excavations in a theater basement in the northern Italian town of Como. The haul was found on September 5th as a dig was underway in a theater complex which had previously been home to a convent. The 300 coins, all perfectly preserved, were found 3 feet underground. They'd been dated back to the late Imperial Roman era, around the 5th century. Experts say the find is of immense importance. The value, you can't even begin to guess how the value of these gold coins.
Wow, that's incredible.
5th century.
Amazing.
All right, that's our time for now. Thanks for watching. News 3 at 5 starts right now.
Right now at 5, Badger wide receiver Quintez Cephas charged with 2 counts of sexual assault in court. We'll tell you if he will be headed.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars has been raised for the victims of the fatal Sun Prairie explosion. We'll tell you how that money is being distributed.
Plus, it's been 17 years since the tragic events of 9/11, how people all across the country are remembering the victims.
This is News 3 at 5.
Thanks for staying with News 3. Quintez Cephas, the Badger football player facing 2nd and 3rd degree sexual assault charges, will go to trial.
Today he had his preliminary hearing after his defense tried to get the criminal complaint thrown out, saying that it doesn't tell the full story. Our Amanda Quintana is live at the Dane County Courthouse with the details. Amanda?
Yes, today the judge said there is enough probable cause to go to trial. But before that decision was made, the state and the defense argued about whether the statements that the alleged victims made to police are reliable enough. Now, the defense plans to prove that the women were not drunk like they say they were, claiming a text from one of the women early the next morning asking for an item she might have left behind, and surveillance video showing the woman in the hallway of Cephas's apartment with him and roommate Danny Davis, that those prove they knew what they were doing there.
She never needs assistance in walking. She climbs upstairs without any assistance. And she converses, as I've previously indicated, with Mr. Cephas and has no difficulty standing.
Okay, thank you. Then we're adjourned.
The state aiming to prove the women could not give consent, and the woman who texted after the assault could not remember what happened to her. Now, there has not been a trial date set yet, but we talked to Cephas after court and we asked him how he's feeling. He said he's feeling great, he's innocent, and he is ready to prove that he is innocent and prove the facts of this case.
Amanda Quintana reporting live. Amanda, thanks.
3 people were injured when a dump truck hit an SUV in the town of Cottage Grove this morning. It happened on Highway 12 west of Femrite Drive around 7:30. An SUV driven by a Madison woman with a juvenile passenger was headed north on Sigilco Road. At the stop sign, she drove north through the intersection and was hit by that dump truck. The driver of the dump truck from Belleville swerved to miss the SUV, but hit it and flipped onto its side. The sheriff's office said the woman and her juvenile passenger, along with the dump truck driver, were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. All 3 were wearing their seatbelts when this crash occurred.
Police are looking for the robber involved in the 5th delivery driver robbery in the Madison area since May. Madison police say a 44-year-old pizza delivery man was robbed in the 400 block of East Bluff around 12:20 this morning. The suspect was holding a handgun when he approached the victim outside of the victim's car. Officers say the robber took cash from the victim. No injuries were reported.
Another beautiful September day. Let's get a look at your first alert weather. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti joining us in the Weather Center. Gary?
Well, the weather just keeps going on and on like this, and I'm sure that's fine with a lot of people who are still recovering from the flooding of a couple of weeks ago. Visible cloud track, you can see clear skies across the state of Wisconsin today, and with low temperatures starting out on the cool side this morning because the air being dry, it warms up quickly though. So we started out at 51 in Madison. Most locations were in the upper 40s to around 50, but current temperatures are in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees, a little warmer out to the west toward the Mississippi River, a little cooler toward the Lake Michigan shoreline. Dew point temperatures still remain very comfortable in the lower 50s. So by tomorrow morning, look for temperatures to drop into the middle to upper 50s. Tomorrow we'll see partly sunny skies and another very mild day with a high temperature of 78. That's your first alert forecast.
All right, Gary, thank you. And flooding in Rock County has entered into major stages today.
Areas along the Rock River near Lake Koshkonong have seen levels rise to over 11.5 feet. Our Rock County reporter Adam Duxter spent time with residents on the lake today and joins us from our bureau at the Janesville Gazette with how they're handling the standing water. Adam?
Well, the water might have reached major flooding levels today, but the people I talked to say they are very lucky it was not much worse.
For a while, it was tough to tell how bad flooding was going to be.
You got one person saying, oh, it's going to come up 1.5 feet. You got another guy that's going to say it's going to come up 3 feet. And this person says it's going to come up 6 inches.
But today, levels along the Rock River near Lake Koshkonong cresting at 11.6 feet, just over what is considered major flood stages. Ron Langer has lived in this area for more than a decade, and after multiple floods, he says he had a game plan.
I got people to come in and sandbag ahead of time, and you just get ready for it, and if it gets worse, you go to the next step plan.
Thanks to the sandbags, Langer has kept the water away from his house, although water is still starting to make its way into his basement.
Before the water was even this close to the house, we had a lot of groundwater that's coming through like cracks in the basement floor or the wall, the foundation.
Many people on this street say this is the third major flooding situation they've dealt with in the last 10 years.
We've lived through 3 500-year floods already. I guess it's the new norm, whether it's, the change in the weather patterns or we're just getting bad luck. Not much you can do about it.
But Ron says even with the occasional flood, this isn't a place he would ever leave.
I love it out here, so I'm here for as long as I can stay here.
Today, I talked to Rock County officials at the Rock County Sheriff's Office who told me that they've used over 20,000 sandbags handling the storm, but so far, none of the major structural damage that other counties have been seeing. The levels along the Rock River could return back to normal as early as next week.
Boy, that's good news. Adam Duxter in our Rock County Bureau. Thanks, Adam.
And receding floodwaters, sunshine, and warming temperatures have created a resurgence of bacterial algae blooms on Madison lakes. The hazardous blooms are caused by an overabundance of the nutrient phosphorus, which is often carried from farm fields and city streets by rain. Experts say blooms are likely the result of storm runoff following the heavy rains. All area beaches have been closed since the flooding started because of the contaminants and other things that are in the water. Health officials say residents shouldn't go into the water and suspected algae breaks. The toxins can cause digestive, respiratory, and neurological illnesses, as well as skin rashes. Many homes in Madison still have sandbags around them, but some homeowners have already started to clear those sandbags off their properties. But officials are urging you not to do so just yet. Officials say water levels are still high, and they could stay that way for a while. When the city gives the all clear, they say don't throw away those sandbags. You are encouraged to hold on to them for winter using the sand on ice near your property, or you'll also have the opportunity to return them to the city.
It's been 2 months since a devastating explosion in Sun Prairie, and through this tragedy, the community has built a reputation of being Sun Prairie strong.
And Sun Prairie and surrounding communities have banded together to help raise more than $500,000 to the Disaster Relief Fund. Jamie Perez joins us live in the News Center with details on how that money will help people and where it's being distributed. Jamie?
That's right. Well, $500,000. That's quite a lot. The city administrator I spoke with today says that number exceeded his expectations and is so overwhelmed with the support that's been shown for their own community. The Disaster Relief Committee announced this morning where all of that money is going. $220,000 is going towards residents and employees who were displaced from their homes or lost their place of employment during that explosion. $148,000 goes to the affected businesses and property owners downtown, and $141,000 goes to emergency first responders.
This has taken weeks to get to this point of pretty intense effort and work. So I'm very proud of the city as an organization and the city government, but I'm also very proud of our community.
A lot of efforts by the community for sure, through so many different types of fundraisers over the past several months. Now, even though a lot of people will be getting the assistance they need, Aaron also said that they did have to turn down some of the applications that they did not meet the criteria to be recipients of those funds. Coming up tonight at 6, we'll hear what some of the criteria was, plus hear from a business owner that shares his story of luck through all of this.
Jamie Perez at our News Center. Jamie, thank you.
Thousands of victims, relatives, survivors, and rescuers and others gathered today at New York's World Trade Center Memorial Plaza to remember the deadliest terror attack on American soil. Victims' family members placed flowers at the Memorial Plaza in Lower Manhattan. Many people carried photos of their loved ones and cried, among others who understood their pain. Many fought back tears while remembering loved ones that were killed when hijacked planes struck the Twin Towers.
So there's no closure, there's no finality. And it's the best thing I could think of to keep them grounded and keep them with us, is just to always be here, just never forget, because we live our lives, but they're kind of just out there somewhere.
Vice President Mike Pence and Defense Secretary James Mattis were part of a moment of silence at the Pentagon as well today. They read the 184 names of those who died at the Pentagon on 9/11. A flag was also draped over the building in honor of those victims. And the White House staff also paused for a moment of silence today on the South Lawn. September 11th still shapes American policy, politics, and everyday experiences in places from airports to office buildings.
There were numerous local ceremonies as well across Wisconsin that included a special event held by Madison first responders. The Madison Police and Fire Department Honor Guards joined forces for a remembrance at the Madison Curling Club in McFarland, recognizing the valor of first responders and honoring the memory of the thousands of innocent lives that were lost that day.
Our protective services relying on valor, daily preparing spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally for that time when they might be called into action and be pressed into service, and to in fact make the ultimate sacrifice, all in the means of valor.
Both departments hosted their annual Never Forget blood drive from 7 this morning until 1 this afternoon at the Madison Curling Club. Next at 5, a second airline has announced a nonstop flight from Madison to Phoenix, Arizona. The Dane County Regional Airport says American Airlines will be adding the flights starting January 6th. Flights will be flown on a CRJ 900 2-class plane, and tickets are on sale now. Frontier Airlines announced last month that it would be adding nonstop flights from Madison to Phoenix starting in November.
More to come on News 3 at 5. Up next, mandatory evacuations are underway in East Coast states as they prepare for Hurricane Florence.
With the major flooding happening across the area this summer, many are wondering what's in store for winter. We'll have a look at what's to come when we come back.
And on Wall Street, stocks close higher across the board. The Dow up 114 points. The NASDAQ added 48. The S&P up 11. We'll be right back. We are still a week and a half away from the start of fall, but some folks are already wondering what winter will bring in southern Wisconsin.
And are the recent heavy rains a sign of things to come? Meteorologist Dave Caulfield joins us tonight. You've got all the answers, right, Dave?
Well,
this is what everybody wants to know.
I'm definitely trying, Susan and Eric, that's for sure. It's a natural question to ask, does a very wet summer lead to a very snowy or extremely cold winter? But knowing what the atmosphere did last summer may not have as much of a connection to future seasons as you might think. No matter what your seasonal suspicion is,
thinking that it's going to be like a slow start like it has been, but then like late December, it'll like hit you real hard and then it's going to be real slushy for a bit.
questions are already starting to surface about what kind of winter southern Wisconsin will see.
I don't really know what this winter's going to be like, but probably cold.
Historic summer rains and flooding have some speculating a more severe winter season will visit Madison. However, the meteorology doesn't exactly support that theory.
The atmosphere has almost no memory at all. It's like a cat. And whatever happens this week is completely forgotten by next week.
Martin says that we most likely think this way because people have a sense that weather events average out in the long run.
So if you have an extreme event in one season, maybe it's a harbinger of an extreme event to come in the following season. Or then other people, some other fraction of the population might say, well, this is a guarantee that we won't have anything to worry about in the wintertime because we had it all in the summer.
Right now, there's a 70% chance of an El Nino developing during the winter months. That would typically make southern Wisconsin warmer and less snowy. But that forecast is not set in stone. Regardless of what winter weather we receive, Martin says it's all about your perception.
Most people will probably agree by the end of whatever comes this winter that if we get a normal amount of snow in January and February and even December, it'll feel like a snowier winter than we had last year.
But winter is still months away. For now, Madison is just fine with the weather staying just like this.
Definitely, this is gorgeous.
Seeing those scenes of winter a little bit startling. As of now, the Climate Prediction Center has an above-average chance of warmer than normal temperatures this winter and an equal chance of above or below normal winter precipitation. There's still a lot of a time period, though, for those outlooks to change. So let's get through fall first before we start worrying about winter, but that's the way it's looking right now.
And let's just enjoy it, shall we?
Exactly.
Yes.
Those pictures are startling.
They are.
Dave, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Millions of Americans are bracing for a storm that's already being described as catastrophic, staggering, and life-threatening.
1 million people are under mandatory evacuation from Virginia through the Carolinas, where Florence is expected to strike early Friday and then stall for a couple of days. President Trump has declared a state of emergency. The National Hurricane Center says the size of Florence is staggering. It's already a Category 4 hurricane, but could intensify as it passes over warmer waters.
We have about 1,800 National Guardsmen on duty right now, and we will continue to increase the mobilization as the storm gets closer.
Forecasters are expecting 10 to 20 inches of rain in some places and possibly more in some areas.
Well, a lot of thoughts with family and friends that a lot of folks have down there. Gary keeping a close eye on it as well. And Gary, I know yesterday you said this might actually eventually impact our weather in a good way, I guess, right? Is that what you said?
Well, it'll keep the rain away for the time being. High pressure will build out ahead of it and keep our weather quiet. We need some more dry weather, so that's good news, at least for the rivers that are currently at or above flood stage. But let's start out by taking a look at the very latest on Florence. Here's a satellite loop over the last 12 hours, maintaining its Category 4 strength, a very large and distinct eye of the storm. And if we look at the latest information from the National Hurricane Center, maximum sustained winds, a strong Category 4, 140 miles per hour, moving to the west-northwest at about 17 miles per hour. Now, the forecast takes it to the northwest with near Category 5 strength about 24 hours from now. As it approaches the coast, it may weaken just a little bit depending on how much it slows down as it approaches the coast. Some of the interaction with the land would weaken it a bit. But a Category 4, a strong Category 3 hurricane, that makes very little difference. Again, it's more for bragging rights than anything else. Still looking at vast destruction in the area where the hurricane hits the coast. And then as it slows down, you can see that even as it just barely moves inland, still as a Category 3 hurricane, it weakens to a tropical storm, even inland as far as Raleigh. And then it just kind of sits and spins across the Carolinas, keeping our weather dry to the north and west, but bringing heavy amounts of rain down there. Hurricane warnings are currently in effect from Central central South Carolina northward to about Norfolk, Virginia. Tropical storm watches are in effect north of there, and a hurricane watch down into the Charleston, South Carolina area. Live view from the Quebe Radio Skycam in Platteville. Clear skies here. Again, we're enjoying that nice, quiet, mild weather. Skies are sunny here at the WISC Skycam, looking off toward the east, and the Edgewater Skycam downtown Madison. Plenty of sunshine in the downtown section of the city. As we check out the almanac for today, the low this morning 51, but our high temperature warmed up nicely to 78, and right now we're still at 78 degrees with winds out of the south at 11 miles per hour. Dew point temperature very comfortable in the lower 50s. So while Florence heads toward the coast, again, that large area of high pressure keeping much of the central part of the country quiet, especially into the Midwest and parts of the Northeast. Now, eventually, some of that moisture will stay along the East Coast, but that high pressure system has moved from Missouri to southern Michigan, and it's keeping a cold front out to the west of us. It's keeping the moisture from any tropical weather systems to our south and east. Temperatures are very comfortable, mainly in the 70s to around 80 degrees. So our forecast for tonight, mostly clear and comfortable, low temperature at 56. Tomorrow, partly sunny and very mild, with a high temperature about the same as today at 78. On future track, you can see the clear skies tonight, temperatures dropping into the middle 50s. Southerly winds continue tomorrow, partly sunny skies, high temperatures in the upper 70s. Tomorrow night, temperatures drop back into the middle 50s, and then on Thursday, look for high temperatures to be back into the upper 70s again with partly sunny skies. 7 to 10 day forecast. Dry weather expected not only for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We've taken the rain chances out of the forecast from Monday, and now it looks like the next chance of rain will be Tuesday of next week with a chance of a shower or thunderstorm. A little cooler after a cold front comes through. Temperatures drop to around 70 by Wednesday, and then get back into the middle 70s by the end of the week. Another slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm by Friday. As we take a look at first alert traffic, we can see some slow conditions on the Beltline. This is the DOT camera at the Beltline at Todd Drive. Traffic moving fairly slowly in both directions. Eastbound delays start around West Broadway, go back to Verona Road. Westbound, the delays start around Todd Drive and head back to John Nolan Drive. Right now, a 26-minute commute in the eastbound Beltline from University Avenue to the interstate. 20 minutes for that same section going back in the westbound direction. Heading out of Madison down to Janesville, 28 minutes from the Beltline to Janesville on I-3990. 21 minutes to Sauk City on US 12, and 17 minutes to Sun Prairie from downtown on 151. That's your first alert traffic.
All right, thanks, Gary.
Sure.
Still ahead at 5, hundreds of people are gathering to demand justice for a man shot inside his own apartment by a Dallas officer. We'll have the very latest when we return. Authorities in Texas are bracing for more protests over the police shooting death of a black man inside his own apartment.
Demonstrations grew tense last night following the release of the officer's arrest warrant. Omar Villafranca has the latest from Dallas.
As demonstrators in Dallas marched down the street demanding justice Monday night, students at Harding University, where Botham Jean graduated 2 years ago, sang songs and lit candles in his honor.
We don't know what actually happened. We just know that this story doesn't hold up.
According to an arrest warrant released yesterday, off-duty police officer Amber Geiger told investigators she went to Jean's fourth-floor apartment, believing it was hers on the third floor. Geiger said the door was ajar and she saw a large silhouette inside. After giving verbal commands that were ignored, she fired her handgun twice, striking and killing the 26-year-old.
Get some crime scene tape up here on the fourth floor.
But attorneys for Jean's family say 2 witnesses told them details contradicting the officer's account.
They heard knocking down the hallway, followed by a woman's voice that they believed to be Officer Geiger saying, "Let me in, let me in."
The family's attorneys say one of the witnesses also heard gunshots, followed by a man's voice.
What we believe to be the last words of both of them, Jean, which was, "Oh my God, why did you do that?"
Geiger, who is charged with manslaughter, insists it wasn't until she turned on the lights and called 911 that she realized she was at the wrong apartment.
I have asked too many questions, and I've been told that there are no answers yet.
Jean's family is demanding more details. Charges against the officer could be bumped up to murder pending the outcome of a grand jury investigation. Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Dallas.
And stay with us. We'll have another check of your forecast in just a moment. Finally, at 5, a unique surgery is giving a New York girl who lost her leg to cancer a chance to dance again.
Delaney Unger has been a dedicated dancer since the age of 3, but when she was 12, she learned that a rare bone cancer would require doctors to amputate her knee. However, doctors were able to use her ankle and foot turned backwards as a new knee. A lower leg prosthesis now fits over the foot. Delaney, who is now 13 and cancer-free, hopes to resume dancing, and she also has a new dream. One day, she'd like to become a doctor.
Amazing.
That is
the
amazing.
technology they do. Gary Canalti joining us once again. Final check of the forecast.
Boy, these temperatures look very nice right now. They're very comfortable. Upper 70s to around 80 degrees. For tomorrow, look for high upper 70s. Close to 80 on Thursday, around 80 Friday, and then dry weather through Monday. Shower thunderstorm chance Tuesday, and then a little cooler later next week.
Stay tuned for the CBS Evening News. We're back in 30 minutes for News 3 at 6.